This is the newsroom for today, Thursday, August 15, 2019. We are broadcasting to you on E1 and Scar TV in Georgetown and Tarzi TV in Botica. In the headlines, the full commission of the Guyana Elections Commission has met, but no decision has been taken on the controversial house-to-house registration exercise.
In the main, because we're still not recipients of the written decision of the judge.
The 2019 top CAPE student says she broke down in tears when the Ministry of Education mixed up the top students and did not recognize her outstanding performance. A senior citizen is remanded for trafficking cocaine in his shoes. In tonight's speech, we tell you about a digital artist who is on a quest to make you believe that anything is possible. And in sport, Caribbean squash players to descend in Guyana for senior championships this weekend. With the news, I'm Avinash Ramzan. Thanks for joining us. We start off by telling you that the chairman of the Guyana Elections Commission, Justice Retired Claude Singh, on Thursday, met with all 6 commissioners of the election body, but a decision was not taken on whether the commission will continue its house-to-house registration exercise. However, the commissioners were informed that preparations have commenced to hold national elections. Bibi Katoon reports.
The commissioners and chairman of the Guyana Elections Commission, GECOM, is awaiting the written ruling of the High Court on the house-to-house registration exercise to decide on the way forward. Thursday's meeting was the first hosted by chairman of the commission, Justice Retired Claudette Singh, since her appointment on July 29th, and it also came one day after the court ruled that the registration exercise is not unlawful. According to government-nominated GECOM Commissioner Vincent Alexander, upon receipt of the written ruling, a meeting will be convened to determine the way forward.
The question of the way forward in some regards was not determined, in the main because we're still not recipients of the written decision of the judge. And there are those of us who would prefer not to rely on reports and third-hand information.
Speaking with the media outside of GECOM's High Street office, Mr. Alexander said at that meeting, the commissioner and chairman will also be discussing an elections plan. The chief elections officer, Keith Lowenfield, has since been tasked with making suggestions to be discussed to form the plan.
We sat today and took a decision that the CEO, this is a consensual position, CEO will come to us with the scenarios, and those scenarios will include house to house and other scenarios for the delivery of the election.
The commission has not met since June 24th when former chairman Justice Retired James Patterson visited office. At Thursday's meeting, the commission was updated on the registration exercise and preparations for elections. According to Alexander, so far, over 230,000 persons have been registered in the ongoing exercise. Additionally, he said GECOM will begin training of elections officials for polling day from August 17th in Georgetown, while procurement of elections materials has also begun.
Much has been done in terms of orders for the non-essential and essential material. So the orders are out there. Even in some instances, payment has been made. It's a question of delivery.
The commissioner said the time frame for the training is dependent on the availability of trainers. The president is awaiting advice from GECOM before he proclaims a date for national elections. Bibi Katoon reporting for the newsroom.
Meanwhile, opposition leader Byron has rubbished the statement of the Working People's Alliance, that's the WPA, which urged the People's Progressive Party to support an extension to the life of the parliament and by extension the government. Fariza Hanif reports.
At a news conference Thursday, the opposition leader Barry Jagdeo again reiterated that the PPP will not give the government the 2/3 majority it needs in the National Assembly to extend the deadline for general and regional elections. The Caribbean Court of Justice has already ruled that the December 21st, 2018 no-confidence motion is valid, triggering the constitutional provision for elections in 3 months. But an election date in Guyana can only be extended in the National Assembly with the support of two-thirds of the members. In the government's case, it only has a one-seat majority, which means it will need the support of the opposition. An application which was filed by attorney Christopher Ram for the High Court to order the Elections Commission to set a date for elections on or before September 18, 2019, was denied by the Chief Justice Wednesday. Following that ruling, the WPA, which makes up a small faction in the coalition government, urged the PPP to return to Parliament to facilitate the desired extension of the life of the government. The WPA noted that the refusal of the PPP to do so would further tarnish the party's image and render it unfit to lead Guyana. But Jagdeo took umbrage to the WPA's statement.
So I've seen a set of psychophants talking about, oh, the court and claiming a victory for them. The court didn't set a timeline, and as though the Constitution doesn't set the timeline. The Constitution has set the timeline, it has been breached by this government several times. That's the first point. So for me, either way, not naming a date is CJ declined to name the date. So in Mr. Ram's application to have September 18 as the date named by the court said that this is for the executive to deal with. You either comply with the Constitution or you get an extension in time on the basis of a vote in the National Assembly of two-thirds of the members. And we've already made it clear, there shall be no extension. We are not voting to extend the life of this government, period. That's it. So there shall be no extension. Therefore, the 3 months have expired several times now.
According to Mr. Jagdeo, based on the CCJ ruling, elections should have been held since March 21, 2019. He again accused the government of delaying the elections.
Imagine they want to facilitate the desired extension, desired by who? This corrupt cabal that is just raping the resources. You will see the first month in office, we will be promising that we will outline the Guyanese public all these things that have been done. It will shock the hell out of everyone about what's taking place now. That's what they're doing. Busy hustling. They're using this timeline to just hustle and to make new promises. Pure hustle at every level. And this is at the ministerial, at the cabinet level, their friends and family. It's a big hustle now. That is what we must facilitate their desire to steal more. This is what the WPA wants.
The opposition leader reiterated that any contracts signed or extended, any lands issued, among other acts by the government since March 21st, will be deemed illegal by the PPP if it is voted into office. Reporting for the newsroom, Fariza Hanif.
18-year-old Shaname Milling is Guyana's top Caribbean Advanced Proficiency Examination student this year. The St. Rose's High School student broke down in tears after she was not initially recognized for her outstanding performance. The top performer is asking for a personal apology from the Ministry of Education. Isnel Patwa has our story.
The Ministry of Education on Thursday admitted that there was a mix-up when it announced Michael Bopal and Leonardo Gobin as this year's top CAPE students. A statement from the ministry subsequently revealed that St. Rose's High student, 18-year-old Shaname Milling, is in fact the top student at this year's CAPE assessment, followed by Bopal and Gobin. On Wednesday, when these two young men were recognized and Milling's name was not even mentioned, she was shocked and devastated. While she did not expect to be the top CAPE student, Milling knew she performed well to be among the top students. So she decided to visit the CXC exam division to rectify the issue, and that was when she knew she was indeed the top student. Shaname of North Sophia, Greater Georgetown, wrote 11 units and achieved 9 grade 1s and 2 grade 2s. The teenager wants a personal apology from the Ministry of Education for not recognizing her outstanding performance. student, during an interview with the newsroom Thursday, said it was not an easy journey. Milling is aiming to become a doctor, but first she will be taking a gap year from studying to volunteer at her school as a lab technician. The top student said it was also a little hard, the reconstruction at her school, but her friends and family encouraged her to keep going. Her aunt Lizanne Brown said she was not surprised by her niece's performance because she always knew she had the ability to do great things. Meanwhile, Milling's mother Drusilla said her daughter made her a proud mother throughout her entire primary and secondary education. Reporting for Newsroom, Sanel Pato.
When the newsroom returned, a senior citizen is remanded for trafficking cocaine in his shoes, and the Minister of Finance, Winston George, says there is a high level of confidence in Guyana's economy. Stay tuned. Welcome back. This is the newsroom. The 4% growth in the economy flies in the face of complaints from the private sector that business is on the decline. This is according to the Finance Minister Winston Jordan, who told reporters Wednesday that there is a high level of confidence in Guyana's economy. Bibi Katoon reports.
According to the 2019 mid-year report, private sector credit increased by 5.7%, a total of $238.8 billion as a result of investments from both businesses and households. The report also shows an expansion of the manufacturing sector by 3.6% and the services and construction sectors by 4.5%. Finance Minister Winston Jordan said the report shows that there is no decline in businesses despite complaints from the various private sector organizations.
There are all these different factors that have to go in to any broad statement that is being made. Now, you have the evidence here, and this evidence is backed by Bank of Guyana because we get our monetary data from the Bank of Guyana. We don't pluck it here, they do that monetary. You have evidence showing that rather than declining, private sector growth, private sector credit has been expanding. And you could see evidence of that all over again. Where's the evidence of the decline?
A panel discussion held by the American Chamber of Commerce AmCham on August 5th, Senior Counsel Ralph Ramkaran and former Attorney General Alan Landlal said the business community is being stymied as a result of government's refusal to set a date for general and regional elections. Additionally, President of the Caribbean Chamber of Commerce, Mohammed Rafiq, told those gathered at the forum that business declined 35% in Barbados. However, Jordan accused the private sector body of creating these figures.
You have no evidence of this slump. None or anyway, but you hear these figures being trotted. But if you use Bank of Guyana figures and you use the figures at the half year, it will show that net domestic credit has expanded by 14.1% at the end of June.
The minister said some businesses need to examine what is contributing to their decline to ensure it is not as a result of their own actions. The mid-year report shows an expansion of the gold mining sector by 4.4%, mining and quarrying by 2.6%, rice by 3.7%, and livestock by 8.1%. Meanwhile, bauxite contracted by 2.9% as a result of sanctions faced by the Bauxite Company of Guyana Limited, owned by Rusal. The sugar sector also fell short of its production target by 1%, with output being 33,531 metric tons. Bibi Katoon reporting for the newsroom.
We tell you now that a 66-year-old man who was allegedly nabbed at the Chalijagan International Airport, Temeri, with over 200 grams of cocaine stashed inside his shoes was on Thursday remanded to prison. Roderick Andrew Chase appeared before Principal Magistrate Judy Latchman at the Providence Magistrates Court, East Bank, Demerara, and pleaded not guilty to the charge. It is alleged that Chase, on August 13, 2019, at the airport, had 290 grams of cocaine in his possession for the purpose of trafficking. According to reports on the day in question, Chase was an outgoing passenger destined for Brooklyn, New York. While he was going through the X-ray scanner, ranks attached to the police narcotics branch observed objects in his shoes. He was then searched and 2 parcels of cocaine were allegedly found stashed inside. The senior citizen was represented by Attorney at Law George Thomas, while the matter was prosecuted by Corporal Sean Gonzalez. The magistrate remanded Chase to prison until August 30, 2019. The President's promise of access to free education was welcomed by many, but Chairman of the Private Sector Commission, Jerry Govaya, does not believe that it should be implemented across the board. Bibi Katoon tells us why.
President David Granger on August 1st announced that the government will restore free education using revenues from the oil and gas industry. The announcement received significant positive feedback, especially from students pursuing tertiary education. However, Chairman of the Private Sector Commission, Jerry Govaya, does not support this investment as he believes those who can afford to pay for their education should be made to do so.
I think it's a noble thing that he's doing. For me, I believe that free education should be for people who cannot afford it. And so government is able to put more money into the people who need to be supported, and people who could afford to pay for their education must do it.
In an interview with the newsroom recently, Captain Govaya posited that money will be invested in healthcare, social services, infrastructure, agriculture, tourism, manufacturing, and reducing electricity costs. As it relates to education, he noted that the monies paid by students who can afford it could be invested in increasing salaries for teachers and better teaching facilities.
I think free education is not sustainable forever. I think it's a noble thing, but I think that people who could afford that we should continue to have private schools, and people who could afford to send their children will send their children. And so it gives the government an opportunity to use their resources to give better education value to people who can't afford it. What has happened in the past, when you try to give free education to every single child, then you stretch government resources, and then teachers are not properly paid, and then the facilities in the school is start to be downgraded.
In order to determine who cannot afford to pay for education, Guyana said a suitable system can be put in place. The PSC chairman, who is also the chief executive officer of Rhino Airways, said free education without proper facilities and well-paid educators is not worth it. After the president's announcement, most persons celebrated the opportunity to attend the University of Guyana free of cost. In this regard, Guyana said no one must be barred from pursuing their tertiary education due to economic constraints. However, it must be sustainable. With general and regional elections expected within a few months, the opposition People's Progressive Party has also promised free education if it is re-elected to government. Bibi Katun, reporting for the newsroom.
A digital artist is on a quest to make you believe that anything is possible, and vulnerable youth exposed to career opportunities. Those and more when the newsroom returns. Stay tuned. Welcome back. This is the newsroom. Sophia U Empowerment Network Trust, a non-governmental organization, hosted a 4-week camp for youths from targeted communities in and around Georgetown. The youths were exposed to various career opportunities. Isnel Patwa reports.
The Sophia U Empowerment Network Trust initially catered only for children ages 7 to 17 from Sophia Greater Georgetown. This year, the organization welcomed children from Durban Backlands, Tiger Bay, and Alboystown. Local media and actors who does the prime is the organizer for the camp. She told the new during the interview recently that the camp focuses on providing career guidance to the youth. Oftentimes, the children in these areas are overlooked, and camp provided an opportunity to give them hope that anything is possible.
This is now the 4th week of the activity, and so we have done a number of things. One of the things that we try to focus on a lot is career opportunities for the children, showing them what options they have, listening to what they'd like to do, and then of course sort of created the opportunity for them to meet people in those respective fields.
The Ministry of Public Health has been assisting the organization with transportation, while Giftland Office Max donated school supplies.
This Friday, we're hoping to give all of the children their bags, packed, of course, with their books, pens, pencils, etc., and of course their school shoes as well.
Meanwhile, Wesley Curtin, a member of the Private Sector Commission, said the aim is to help young people understand what the private sector is about and to expose them to the business field.
First of all, you got to expose people to the options and for them to see at an early age what are the kind of career paths that they can pursue. The other thing you've got to do is to show them some examples of people, particularly women, who have done well in fields that you don't necessarily expect women to do well in or to want to go into.
Mr. Curtin encouraged the children to study hard and the sky will be the limit. Reporting for the newsroom, SNL Patwo.
This 24-year-old digital artist is on a quest to make you believe that anything is possible. And don't tell him you don't believe in magic. He'll make you believe. Newsroom's Nigel Collymore and Kenneth Copeland have spent some time documenting the imaginative work and experiences of this talented artist. Let's take a look.
Raphael Horn, popularly known as Aito Chryst, has developed a reputation for converting very real inspiration into imaginatively surreal depictions.
I'm telling stories with vibrant colors and meticulously placed symbolism.
Symbolism that Aito grew up learning to express through art.
Yes, my mom is an artist. My dad, his craft work, he's meticulous about his craft as well. My grandfather was an artist as well, he did some arts. I was introduced to digital media, to the holy grail of digital media, Photoshop, by my closest friend, and Chargy, brother from another mother. But even though all of that lined up, at the end of the day, I still had to do the work. I still had to practice, I still had to learn and adapt. I still had to incorporate what I know when thrown into a corporate situation and not allow corporateness to just wash over what my vision, my overall vision is. Inspiration is drawn from nature, comic books, movies, music, most importantly, what's going on in my own life. Especially the dramatic pieces, though, the dramatic parts. But if it's not dramatic going on, then something dramatic happen.
Art is the expression of creative skill and imagination. However, it cannot exist without inspiration.
In the early stages, I was for myself placed in situations where I had no choice but to adapt to the status quo of what was going on around me. And I believe that's what helped to give me the resilience that I have today. I want people to dream more. We need more dreamers. Not only dreamers, but people who are willing to act on a dream and at least express it in a visual manner. And that way, who knows, maybe it's going to influence the next step of architecture in the country.
Historically impactful artists are the ones who dare to genuinely express themselves regardless of perceived constraints. Aito often credits his corporate experience for his evolution to this point.
It connects with a lot of people, regular people day to day. First, what I notice is it connects more to the childlike part of the individual. It inspires or gives the individual a chance to, or mission or inspiration to still dream, still imagine, still accept that part of who they were when they were a child. And I believe that's what people are drawn to.
Human beings can never have too much inspiration, and so the emotional impact of Aito's work is almost unavoidable. The surrealist art is crafted to revive dead imaginations or further empower active ones.
So this is my style. I'm taking everything here and making it magical, right? All this is just magical stuff. So this is it really. Just to sum it up, I'm taking what is here already. I'm making it magical. It's already magical, but we can make it more magical. We can do more stuff with it.
If you tell him you don't believe in magic, Aito would take a picture of you at that moment with the hope of placing you in a world where anything is possible.
Just ahead on the newsroom, the financial weather and Brit reports along with headlines from the region and around the world. Stay tuned. Now on the newsroom, we take a look at headlines from the Caribbean and around the world.
Thank you, Avinash. We'll start off with news from the region. A British woman has died in Barbados after being doused in a flammable liquid and set alight while in bed. Natalie Critchlow's shocked and devastated family are raising funds to repatriate her body, the BBC reported. The 44-year-old woman of London was in Barbados to look after her disabled brother when she was attacked. The mother of 3 had survived cancer twice and had 2 strokes in the past decade, according to her niece. According to the BBC, she suffered 75% burns to her body in the attack in Christchurch on July 28. She died in hospital on August 6th. The BBC reported that the intruder broke into the woman's house, strangled her, and then set her body on fire. Details provided by the sole survivor of a torture center in Brazil could lead to the imprisonment of a man accused of raping her during captivity. The BBC reported that the accused has so far been protected by a 1979 amnesty law, which prevents military officials from being prosecuted for crimes committed under military rule. But now a court has ruled that he should stand trial for the alleged rape of Inez Etienne Romeo, who managed to survive her time at the clandestine torture center by pretending she had been turned by her captors. More than 400 people were killed or disappeared during Brazil's military rule, and Miss Romeo's detailed account of her months in captivity at the clandestine prison, dubbed House of Death, were key in bringing information about the military's excesses to light. Police in Trinidad and Tobago are investigating the murder of a Diego Martin man who was shot dead following an argument on Thursday. The Express reported that he has been identified as Tommy Owen, who worked as a laborer with the Diego Martin Regional Corporation. Police said Owen was drinking alcohol and liming with some men at around 9 a.m. when he began to argue with the men, who then walked away. Minutes later, 2 men walked up to Owen and shot him several times, including in the head. He collapsed on the roadway and died. The Express reported that the investigators are unable to say whether his death was linked to the argument. Internationally, Israel is blocking 2 U.S. Democratic lawmakers and prominent critics of Israel from visiting. Ilan Omar and Rashida Tlaib were due to visit the occupied West Bank and East Jerusalem next week. Both have supported the boycott movement against Israel, but Israeli law allows supporters of the campaign to be banned from visiting. The BBC reported that President Donald Trump earlier tweeted it would show great weakness if the pair were allowed entry to Israel. A statement from the Israeli Interior Ministry confirming the ban said it was inconceivable that those who wish to harm the state of Israel while visiting will be granted entry. But only last month, Israeli Ambassador Ron Dermer said the 2 Democrats would be permitted to visit out of respect for the U.S. Congress and the great alliance between Israel and America. President Trump, who has a close relationship with Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu, has frequently feuded with the lawmakers and, in remarks widely condemned as racist, told them to go back to the countries that their families were from. Mr. Lee was born in Michigan and Ms. Omar is from Minnesota, but was born in Somalia. Police in Nigeria's commercial hub of Lagos have arrested a woman who was filmed abusing a child and then locking him in a cage kennel with dogs. It is not clear when the footage was shot, but it went viral earlier this month. According to the BBC, in the video clip, a woman is seen beating a boy, stripped to his waist with a belt. She then drags him into an empty kennel and locks it before walking away. 2 dogs can be seen in other neighboring kennels. The BBC reported that the video caused outrage in social media, where shocked users offered rewards to anyone that could track down the woman. On Thursday, a police spokesperson tweeted that she was arrested. 3 Pakistani soldiers were killed in a cross-border exchange of gunfire in the contested Kashmir region. Spokesman of the Pakistan Armed Forces, Major General Asif Ghafoor, tweeted that 3 Pakistani soldiers died, along with 5 of India's when Indian forces opened fire along the contested border known as the Line of Control. Reuters reported that an Indian Army spokesman denied any casualties. In a statement, the Indian Army said that Pakistan violated a ceasefire between the two nations. The flare-up comes during a period of high friction between the nuclear-armed neighbors after India revoked special status for the portion of Muslim-majority Kashmir that it controls, angering Pakistan, which also has claims on the region. India and Pakistan have fought 2 wars over Kashmir and engaged in an aerial clash in February after a militant group based in Pakistan claimed responsibility for an attack on an Indian military convoy. And that brings us to the end of regional and international headlines. Back to you, Avinash.
Sport is on the other side of the break. Stay tuned. Welcome back to Newsroom now for a little what's happening in sport. We start off with some squash news. The president of the Guyana Squash Association, David Fernandes, speaking at the official launch at the Georgetown Club on Wednesday afternoon, confidently assured that all systems will be in place for a well-organized senior Caribbean squash tournament. More from Akim Green.
From August 18 to the 24th, the Guyana Squash Association will host Barbados, Bermuda, the British Virgin Islands, Cayman Islands, Jamaica, St. Vincent and the Grenadines, and Trinidad and Tobago for the Senior Caribbean Championships. The venues will be the Georgetown Club in Camp Street and the National Racquet Center at Wolford Avenue. Fernandes firmly believes they have all systems to run a successful tournament.
So we can have an unbelievable week where our team Squash Guyana, will have a tremendous job of keeping everyone comfortable and making sure the tournament runs smoothly. We have very good people in places in all the positions to try to make sure that everything is done from transportation to food to security to controlling the tournament to dealing with the secretariat, liquid refreshments, plumbing, cleaning, and everything. And so I'm quite sure that this team, along with the team of players, will do their best to make sure Guyana is well represented.
The GS hit for indicate sports serious impact on society growth, and governments should do more to support.
As the minister says, the key way to create true social cohesion is through sport. And I think also it could even give Guyana an identity. Because when you go overseas and you see that flag waving in the middle of a stadium, when only one guy might have won something, the whole country feels proud about it. I remember that when I was in Australia with Troy Doris, and it truly gave us an identity, and I think that if we have more of these things, I hope that the government in time will be able to do more for sport and youths and education and everything else they dream about. But sports in particular is something that needs support, that not always the sponsors who become kind of like overburdened with the responsibility of finding resources to everyone.
Both DG ExxonMobil's Senior Director of Public and Government Affairs and Business Communications Manager, Vijay Sanichara, expressed their support as a result of an ongoing effort to develop youth.
ExxonMobil Guyana does such. We really look at opportunities to support the social and economic development of the communities where we live and operate. And development through sport is one of those activities that we feel is an important way to develop youth, leadership skills, teamwork, patience, perseverance, dedication, all the things that seniors, as part of this, have done really throughout your growing up and many years to come. And I think you can really serve as role models to younger players, but also people just in general that want to participate in sports or other activities, just in terms of remain dedicated to the sport, remaining active.
Youth development is paramount to us in sports. It's a great way of being development. So that is why we continue to invest not only in Guyana but in the 32 markets across the Caribbean that we operate.
Other sponsors include Network, John Finance Trading Limited, the National Sports Commission, Connections Travel Service, Bounty Farm Limited, and Parkway Event Center. Meanwhile, K. Juman Yassin, President of the Guyana Olympic Association, reminded the likes of Regan Pollard and Nick Fernandez of the exploits in the past on court, and charged them to strive for excellence and make Guyana proud once more. Pollard Fernandez, joined by Taylor Fernandez, Desiree Khalil, Ashley Khalil, Mary Funafat, Christian Gomes, Shamar Wilshire, and Nicholas Vurie, among other promising players. When the tournament last held in St. Vincent in 2017, Guyana brought second to Barbados, despite winning both the men's and women's team events. The downfall came in the veterans category. For the newsroom, Kim Green.
Cricket news now. North masterful Virat Kohli turned and a polished fifth from Shreyas Iyer powered India to what turned out to be a commanding 6-wicket win over West Indies in a rain-affected third and final ODI in Trinidad. The match was reduced to 35 overs per side, and West Indies managed to 40 for 7 after an onslaught from the openers Chris Gayle with 72 of 41 and Evan Lewis with 43 of 28. Facing revised 255, India recovered from 98 for 3 to achieve a victory at 256 for 4 in the 33rd over, with Kohli ending on 114, his 43rd ODI turn, and Iyer hitting 65, his second consecutive 50. Let's take a look now at the highlights. And despite another series loss, which extends the wait for his first series win since 2014, the West Indies captain Jason Holder said there were some positives from the two defeats to India. He also spoke about recruiting ahead of the two test matches, first of which starts next week.
Yeah, lots of positives, man. The way Chris played today, Evan Lewis, showing a lot of form as well too. I thought the bowlers had a reasonable time too. Yes, the last game, I felt we bowled really, really well. And today we're probably off a little bit, but generally I think the bowling has really led us in the last couple games, and it's just a matter for us to continue to build. As I said, or keep saying, it's just a matter for us to really seize the key moments in the games and play those key moments a little bit better than we have been in the past. Well, we've got a few days off. This is probably a fresh group, different faces coming into the test squad, and it's a matter for us to continue the good work we've been doing in test cricket over the last 2-3 years. The first series we've had this year was a success, no doubt the guys will be itching and ready to go against India here in this second series of the year, and obviously with the test championship around, it's something to obviously look forward to and to play for. So I think the guys are up for it, just a matter for us to play some solid cricket.
And how much is the championship of something, a bit of a carrot to the angle? How much of that are you really, really looking forward to?
I think we're all looking forward to it. We started really well this year against England, beating England at home, and we had some brilliant individual performances, and then it just so happened that we brought it together as a collective unit. Just a matter for us now to build. The test championships over 2 years, and we've got lots of cricket to play over these next 2 years, and I think every series will be important. Each and every moment will be important in each series, and it's just a matter for us to really go out there and give it our all.
Meanwhile, after another explosive innings in what was expected to be his final ODI inning, Chris Gayle is seemingly putting his retirement on hold again. After the match, he spoke to Cricket West Indies media communications manager Spooner, reflecting on the game and touching a bit on that retirement.
First of all, it's a disappointment of the series that they lose 2-0 to India, but kind of still Victoria and his team, they played good and they deserve to win. It was just a special day. I wanted to put in my game to actually wear the shirt, but it didn't come in time, so actually I asked the manager to get my shirt 301. So that was my special day, but a lot of guys think I was actually walking away, but I'll still be around. We saw that pen over the next couple of days, and it's a bit of break before CPL, so like I said, unfortunately about the loss, but since cricket will have to move on.
And what's the message to the fans out there?
I just want to thank you guys for the support. I know you guys very disappointed without actually winning a game, but these things are going to it's like to be back and bounce back and that's the highest merit. So congrats to India, and thanks again for the support. It's been tremendous. Love you all, okay?
And the question everybody is, have you retired from ODI?
I didn't announce any retirement.
So you're still with us?
Yeah, until further notice.
Boxing news now. Hand in Hand Mutual Fire Insurance Company Limited is proud to once again provide sponsorship towards the Guyana Boxing Association for the Caribbean Schoolboys and Junior Tournament scheduled to start tomorrow in Guyana. The company said it is pleased to partner with the local body to help with the development of boxing in the region, noting that the event provides the opportunity for local boxers to test their skills against regional counterparts. The three-day tournament, which will be held at the Cliff Anderson Sports Hall, with Guyana looking to defend the title they won last year. In fact, Guyana has won the overall title every year since the tournament started in 2016. And the Guyana Boxing Association is now aiming to make it 4 titles in a row at the Caribbean Schoolboys and Boxing Championship when action gets underway tomorrow. Here's Akim Green.
Boxers from Trinidad and Tobago, Cayman Islands, Dominica, Grenada, Barbados and St. Lucia will vie to the shown hosts, but will have to come good since the host team have done a hard yard of 10 weeks preparation. It enthused GBA President Steve Ninval that they will go on to win another overall title.
I think that the guys have been given the necessary tools to allow them to bring or retain that title that Guyana has won since the inception of this tournament in 2016. We have 20 boxers who are on Team Guyana, but we also have several of our other local boxers who we have brought in order for them to have some international exposure. They will not be on the team, but they will be fighting on the card. When we started in 2016, we started with 3 teams, and we were not able, or we were not financially as solid as to make sure that we could have facilitated this encampment. This year, we've had encampment for 10 weeks. We started in June, and we will conclude when the tournament concludes. It says that we have been developing. There is visual development that you can see.
Nenval also indicated that he hopes in the future the tournament will continue to grow and attract greater countries.
We started with 3 countries, now we have 7. And it is hoped that next year we will have the involvement of the USA and Venezuela and Puerto Rico. Puerto Rico was scheduled to come, but they're going through some financial difficulties, as is Venezuela. And that is one of the reasons why, too, that we have renamed the tournament so it can be not just a Caribbean tournament anymore. It can be a tournament that encompasses all across the regions, across the Americas, and even further afield. So I hope that next year we'll see a much bigger and better tournament. And Winfield Brafitt, who's our only Commonwealth gold medalist in boxing, he's very, very enthused with the fact that we would have named this tournament after him.
The boys will participate in age 12 to 14 matches will come from Thierry Moore, Sean Graham, Wayne Costello, and Joaquin Aito. 15 to 16 will be Travis Indri, Mark Crawford, Alex Butcher, and Emmanuel Pompey. The juniors, age 17 to 18, will see Richard Howard, Isaiah Moore, Jerome McKenzie, and Fitzroy Hayward. While the girls' team, 13 to 14, has only Alicia Jackman as juniors, Abiola Jackman. The championship is scheduled to commence at 18 hours daily, and ringside tickets cost $1,500 and stands $500, and season tickets are worth $4,000. For the newsroom, Marky Green.
Back to some cricket news. The St. Lucia Zouks will replace the St. Lucia Stars for the 2019 CPL season following the recent termination of the participation agreement with the company operating the Stars franchise. The Zouks will be playing matches in St. Lucia and across the Caribbean in this year's CPL, which takes place from September 4 to October 12. The Zouks was the name of the St. Lucia franchise when it was founded in 2013, and it still resonates with cricket fans around the world. St. Lucia is one of 4 islands in the Caribbean known for its Zouk music. And finally, some news out of the Ashes. England's fragile batting again buckled on day 2 of the second Ashes test against Australia at Lord's. Opener Rory Burns made a battling 53, only to be part of a collapse of 4 wickets for 46 runs that left the home side 138 for 6. England recovered through a stand of 72 between Johnny Bairstow and Chris Wokes. Bairstow was also helped by cameos from debutant Jofra Arthur and Stuart Broad before becoming last man to fall for 2 to leave England 258 all out. Australia was the first David Warner, but like Broad to close on 34 weeks. It will be the happier side after the captain campaign 1 draws. And with that, we've come to the end of the news for this evening. Of course, you can date on these and other stories on our website, newsroom.gy, or our Facebook page, Newsroom Guyana. On behalf of the entire team here, I'm Afan Azan. Thanks for watching. See you back here tomorrow.